might need to talk to somebody. Anyway, I don't hear dogs. So.
Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR542. It's WWE Survivor Series. It's 2024, so I think it's 10 Survivor Series now we've now covered on this podcast. It's unbelievable, but luckily I'm not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show is a fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
Yes. Happy December. Happy Christmas month, everyone. And welcome to Survivor Series. What's going on, James?
It's fucking me up a little bit, not going to lie. Because like I said, we're in December talking about Survivor Series. We're going to be in February talking about the Rumble. You know, it's going to be May and we're talking about the Mania. Like, why are they doing this to us?
I mean, it's the gift that keeps on giving, no?
I don't know. I'm just going to get
That's
confused.
how we have to look at it.
Well, it's nearly Christmas. Christmas is on the horizon. But yeah, it is Survivor Series today, so it should be good. Up next, our resident XC expert and New Japan demigod, it is Monty. How's it going, man?
Going good. My time of the year still. Even though we in December, like you said, we still talking about Survivor Series. My favorite, if not my favorite of the big four, might be right behind the Royal Rumble, to be honest. But just again, I'm always in a good mood around this time of year, so I'm excited to talk about it. The show leading up to it, and the implications coming out of Survivor Series. I mean, honestly, I feel like we're in a pretty decent space, especially from a storytelling standpoint right now. So I'm excited to get into it.
We might actually have more to talk about after Survivor Series than the event itself, but we'll see how it goes. Last, but by no means least, let me get my singing voice. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby, where troubles melt like lemon drops above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebird fly, if happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow. Why, oh why can't I? The Dorothy to my Toto. It's Gina. I weren't too bad, actually.
No, I loved it, and especially because it is Christmas month, and even though loads of people will argue with me on this, Wizard of Oz is a Christmas movie for me. So welcome on in, people, and thank you for the song, James.
It was either going to be this or something from Wicked, and I went the easy route, I'm not going to lie. But you know what I mean? It is that time of year, so I'm glad to have you on board again. You look forward to Survivor Series?
Of course, I think I'm second with Monty in the fact that I do think that Royal Rumble is my top one out of the big four, but Survivor Series is close second, like right there, you know. So I look forward to this one.
Yeah, without a doubt. We're going to get to it in a minute. But I did do some thinking, actually, you know, because that's Wizard of Oz. We're just thinking, if I was Dorothy, right, just calm down, everybody, you know, then rather than like the scarecrow looking for a brain, we have Monty, because he is the most knowledgeable of the bunch and is, in fact, an expert and demigod. You see, that's nice. The person who needed a heart would be Jaxie, of course, or the Tin Man. But she has got a heart because she wears a heart on the sleeve. And like she shows on the New Japan pod, she throws herself in with a passion. And finally, the Lion, who thought she needed courage when, in fact, Gina, you had it all along and is the most courageous of us all. And she says what she means. And the truth, man, that's what we want. You know, we're just a group of guys walking that yellow brick road. Anyway, enough bullshit. Let's get on with it, all right? Someone pointed out to me that this will be the last WPLE on the network. It's quite poetic, actually. The next event, NXT Deadline, will be the last, and the first was NXT Arrival on the WWE Network. So, again, all this time and going through it. But we're going to do with Raw, SmackDown catch-up as well. We start Raw November 11th. Priest and Gunther had a face-off with Damien beating Kaiser. Damage Control beat Pure Fusion. Kofi lost to Dunn thanks to Woods. Cross-threatened Miz and telling where the Wyatts were. They were there. Miz blasted Eric Rowan with a steel chair, to which Uncle Howdy laughed. A brawl ensued. We also saw the Wyatts take revenge by taking Scarlett. Jaxie, I'll ask you this. Final Testament and the Wyatts. I think it's actually going to work, and we've seen the building up here, and obviously it's going to come to fruition maybe in the new year.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been excellent character building and giving a bit more attention to the Final Testament in that sort of aspect where you're kind of wondering where things will go. The one thing I will point out is that I would like a little bit more interaction and maybe sort of like terror coming from Nikki within the women's division to give her actual matches, because I'm glad that we've kind of got interaction with Scarlett and maybe potentially leading to something between her and Nikki. But I haven't been able to see a lot of Nikki in the ring yet, so I'd like to actually get a bit more of a spotlight on her. But other than that, I'm intrigued. This has kept me intrigued. I really love what the Wyatt Six are doing right now. So anything with them involved, it is very similar to how I feel about House of Black. Although I think the advertisement so far has been different because the Wyatt Six are very new to this at the moment, newly coming into this. But there's intrigue there. So I just really hope that WWE don't drop the ball in terms of storyline and keeping people interested in the Wyatt Six. So let's see where this goes,
Yeah, without a doubt. The main event of Raw was Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax coming up short against Belair and Cargill, but of course we'll talk more about them as well. We saw a brawl afterwards with EO helping out the faces. Rollins turned down Sammy and Solo. He said the next time he'll be in the ring with Roman, he will stomp him. And again, Monty, we've mentioned it now with Seth. At least he's a man of principle. A bit like Drew McIntyre. He's a guy that actually is going to stand by what he means rather than just like, yeah, fuck it, I'll team with Roman. We know he hates him.
Yeah, I think it's funny that you mentioned Drew. I mean, we could talk about that a little bit more later about my projections for Seth and a guy like Drew. But I think that's the best part about the intricacies of the storyline in general is like him being completely consistent, because we've seen, as say what you want, I love Cody, but we've seen Cody not be consistent. I mean, it's like whatever beef he had with that side changed when he won the title, and it was like, so you can kind of see that he may have hated the bloodline, but he just wanted that belt more so than he may have actually hated the bloodline. And I think it's a little bit different when we talk about Seth Rollins, who has a lot of history with Roman, and then you have another storyline that we're going to obviously get into that doesn't really come to a head at Survivor Series, but it's literally the same story beats with Kevin Owens. So man, I think it's beautiful and it's smart. It's smart storytelling. I mean, when Roman was the biggest bad guy, these were the people, most of the people that you see that have an issue with Roman and with the OG bloodline are the people that he was struggling against. The people who struggled against that bloodline when they were on top. It's just really very logical booking, if you ask me. And like you said, it's really good to see that from a character standpoint. And not that he even has to turn completely heel. I mean, honestly, I'm not saying I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I definitely can see Seth heel, but I like the fact that he doesn't have to actually even be a bad guy to make a great point. Like, yeah, you fans may have, may be chanting this and may miss Roman and all of that stuff, but, Seth will forever, have a personal grudge against him, because I will always think back to that Royal Rumble a couple years ago where he, had a chance at the championship, and we saw what Roman did to him. That feud is forever going to be personal. Stuff like that cost Roman the title. And to be honest, even if he could have convinced Seth, I don't know if Roman would have went for it, because again, those scars are that deep. So I just love that. I love the consistency there, like you mentioned. That like at the end of the day, we got to do what makes sense, not what would help complete the match.
Yeah. Well, we've spoken about an NXT update as well, and we spoke on AEW. The fact is sometimes watching the product and remembering what happened, we get punished for it because things just don't make sense. So at
Right.
least the whole point, it's like watching box set, isn't it? Like Series 2 is referenced, you're going, oh my god, and this is kind of what we're getting now. Which, like I said, we'll speak more about as well. SmackDown 22nd November. Cody started the show wanting Owens. Oldest told him no. And then we got the news as well, we should say. I don't think we mentioned here. The US title tournament for the women's division. Of course, we know the news from Raw, but we'll talk about it first. Gina, for SmackDown, the US title. It's only a good thing, isn't it,
Sorry, is this talking about the ladies one?
Yeah, just the US title in general, just being introduced,
Yeah, the announcement of it was actually a nice surprise. Because if there were rumors of it, I hadn't seen any. So it was really nice to see that randomly pop up and just be announced and be like, oh, we've got this to look forward to now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It was really nice to have that surprise.
Without doubt. And we saw the first match take place with Bayley beating B-Fab and Candice LeRae. We then see LA Knight come out to issue an open challenge for the US title with Santos Escobar answered it with no reaction whatsoever, shall we say. That really hurt me. But you want to face Berto instead. Afterwards, we saw Shinsuke Nakamura return, blindsided him with an attack. Sami Zayn and the Usos were shown telling Roman Reigns were unable to find a fifth member for Sikoa's bloodline made its way to the ring. Yoji Bloodline soon followed. Immediately started brawling. Reigns saved Zayn for a spike before he and Fatu had a standoff that was interrupted by Bronson Reed. He helped Sikoa and his crew take out everyone. I mean, Bronson Reed in the bloodline, Jaxie. Maybe it's something we didn't think, but man, it fit well, didn't it?
It's the team up we never knew we needed. It was just dream booking that no one expected, and it was like, yeah, this fits. He looks good with them. So this was really exciting to see. Hear me out though. I got a question real quick. How long ago was it when? I swear there was a promotion between Seth and Roman where Seth brought up you need an architect. How long ago was that?
Oh my god!
Do you remember?
Not off the top of my head. I bet people that screaming, aren't they?
Yeah, maybe, but I swear there was a moment at some point, maybe a couple of years ago, I don't know, where there was a promo where Roman needed kind of help and Seth sort of came to his sort of team up rescue and was you need an architect right now, so just kind of dropping that they needed to team up again. Why the hell was Seth so hell bent of he's got this big issue with teaming up with Roman again? It left me hella confused. Especially with the scramble to find a fifth member. I was
you might be confusing with Cody. I think he told Cody you need an architect more recently than he told Roman. Yeah, he's never told Roman that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, no, it was Cody.
Okay, that's my bad.
Against Roman. Yeah. No. Seth has been very consistent.
Okay.
He do not like Roman, and you can say the funny thing about it is you can say Roman has a bigger beef because Seth is the one who turned back in the day, and I think they both have forgotten that they teamed up again when they brought the Shield back that one time. But to be fair, that was post.
That's where I was
post Roman. That was post Roman. Cancer thing. So.
Okay. So was that pre Bloodline? Original Bloodline. Okay. So this is probably where I'm getting mixed up. With all of that. But yeah, there was confusion over that promo. But yeah, my bad. Thanks for clearing that up. That was.
No. Self pretty much since Roman has been Bloodline, Roman he has been consistent of not really. Not he takes credit for creating the monster that Roman has become. I don't think it's all him, but I do get what he's trying to say. So, in some ways it's his fault, but no, it's just a lot of that is Roman. But yeah, no. Self used for the most part has. No, they're on the opposite end.
To be fair, Roman hasn't apologized about anything. You know, even with
Yeah,
No,
but
he
has
hasn't.
Seth even apologized about his initial betrayal? I'm
Yeah.
trying.
No, that was a great point. He hasn't. He
He
hasn't done
hasn't, man.
anything overtly to change. The only thing that has changed is the people want him, like him now. That's pretty much
He's
it. He
changed his
hasn't really
T-shirt.
done anything.
That's literally what's
Yeah.
happened. Yeah, like
Yeah.
And people are mad at Solo for getting too big for his, britches, I guess you could say. But other than that, no, Roman hasn't changed at all. So Seth is not wrong at all. That's the beautiful thing about it. And also another good thing about Bronson being in it, I know he's Australian. A lot of people didn't know this. He is Samoan, so he is of Samoan descent.
that's
So
cool.
I don't know if people needed that to be clarified, but I saw some people like he's not even he's Australian. It's like, all right, well, we look on your map and look at and see what's close to Australia. You got Fiji, you got Samoa, you got New Zealand. Like, come on now. Geography.
Yeah.
I love geography. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And that's from our American friend. so we know. See how good that is. Like,
Exactly.
Anyway, we had the Street Profits versus Motor City Machine Guns with Ciampa attacking the Profits, cause a DQ. Gargano's tried to play Peacemaker. Looks like DIY might split up. Little did I know. The main event was Naomi challenging Nia Jax for the women's title, with Jax retaining with just, again, a shitload of interference. If you liked people running out in the lead up to Survivor Series, you would have loved these shows. You know that, because it happened near enough every single show. And SmackDown ended with Reigns trying to call Paul Heyman, only to find out his number has been disconnected. I mean, it's all happened, isn't it? You know, we're not going to lie. It's all happened to all of us. Raw November 18th. Again, the Women's War Games participants all got into a brawl, and it led to the return of Rhea Ripley. You see, Monty, women's division ain't shit without Rhea Ripley. But I think this might be the problem in WWE. It's not Ripley's fault, though.
No, it's not. I mean, to be honest, I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of like centerpiece booking, if we being honest. Because like, even think about how many people revolve around Roman at this point. How many people's story revolve around Roman, and then like you said, for the women's division to kind of freeze, kind of like in the standstill. Like Leah, I don't even know the last time Leah. I know they say EO is the number one contender, but I could have sworn she earned that a while ago. I feel like it's been a while that she has been number one contender, or at least close to that position. And here we are. Again, it's now things are back, we're ramping back up when Rhea returns. Again, it's not her fault, the orbital injury. I don't, that you can't. Injuries happen, So I don't want to say it has anything to do with her. It just has a lot to do with the way Triple H kind of centers a lot of different things around his stars, and I guess that's what you're supposed to do. I guess you do lean on your star power, but yeah, man, it was kind of funny how we all know who we're heading towards the War Game, but let's go ahead and bring Rhea back so we can clarify this for everybody. So yeah,
Exactly.
it was a good moment though. It's always cool to see her back, especially when they kind of left it in the air. Like when you hear somebody mess up their orbital bone, and you don't really get a clear timetable. I didn't know how long she would be out. I know a lot of people immediately was like, "Oh, Raw Rumble return for Rhea. Hopefully she don't win the Raw Rumble or whatever again." But who knows? Who knows? She might win it anyway, even though she's back. So you never know with Rhea. But yeah, man, she's like you said. Clearly, I think we all know that at this point, based on the way he books, Rhea is number one. Even with Nia's great year she had, I think Rhea has been put on that pedestal.
Yeah, without a doubt. Intercontinental title match between Sheamus from Breaker ended in DQ when Kaiser got involved. And then the main event, Raw, Bronson Reed even the score with Seth Rollins, even though we got a massive assist from Solo Sikoa. Again, I don't know, Gina, does it matter? Bronson Reed pinned Seth Rollins. That's all we're going to take away. It doesn't matter about interference, does it? We don't book the history books.
No, to be honest, this close to Survivor Series, I think you need to expect interference because, this pay-per-view solely does focus on the team-ups. So you kind of have to expect it at this point. So, yeah, not surprised there. But to be honest, I don't think it hurts Seth in any way taking the L here anyway.
No, without a doubt. Completely agree. So SmackDown November 22nd. First matchup was a triple threat quarterfinal bout in the US title tournament with Belair, Green, and Davenport. The EST saw footage of Jade Cargill after being attacked, and she ran to the back to help her while Green won the match. I'm happy Green won, but the big question is, someone fucked up Jade Cargill. So Jaxie, I'll ask everybody, but Jaxie, what are your thoughts on this, and who did Cargill win?
This is very reminiscent of who ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
But yeah, I really can't help but feel like my girl Binky might be looking at a heel turn here. So yeah, my thoughts are with my homegirl here, because she's the only one really going on about shit right now, and everyone else has been kind of like keeping quiet. And I can't help but feel like they all have the same feeling that it might have been, her. So we'll see how this plays out. But my thoughts are on Binky.
You think, Monty? What about you? Who are you going to blame?
I think to the degree she was beat up too is like it wasn't just like through I guess slammed through the hood of the car or whatever. Like she had the bruises on the face. Yeah, like, and you gotta think about, we're talking about Jade here, so like you can't just say it was Zelina Vega. I'm just using her stature, but I know it wouldn't even beat her. You know what I'm saying? You can't say somebody like that. Like, so Bianca definitely is a candidate, but the thing is, but kind of for me, for Bianca, I mean, yes, now trust me, I've seen a lot of this. I watch a lot of true crime. A lot of times when I've seen a couple of times when the person who's making the most noise, screaming and acting a fool, when somebody getting put into the ambulance, I've seen a lot of times in the true crime that be the person that did it. It's kind of funny how that works. They get to overacting, or they just come to grips with what they did. Like, I've seen it, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's Bianca. But I'm almost more interested in the fact that would it be a cool way to turn a Naomi? Bailey. I don't know. I think Bailey is the one that Bianca would immediately run to or try to make it look like. But I just don't understand what Bailey and even with Trinity, I don't know what she would gain. But maybe the only reason why I say Naomi is because after losing the Nia Jax and just kind of getting passed over, I just don't. That's the only thing that saves Bianca to me, is that I don't understand the timing or what she gained from taking out Jay at this moment. That's all I'm saying. They still tag champion. We're going into war games. Like, why do it then? And why what specific? It was a multi-man match, so you can't say Jay is gonna outshine me or whatever. I guess you can go there. I'm trying to, because so far Triple H has been doing a good job of making things logical. So I'm just trying to come up with a logical way, and I'm like, maybe Trinity, who don't seem like you would never expect her, maybe her with the help of Bailey or something like that could have did it. But I don't know. Again, I understand why you don't want to jump to Trinity, because she was so beat up. It's like, I don't know if Naomi doing that by herself, but I guess you could catch her off guard. I don't know, man. I think it got to be somebody she trusts, though, because, like I said, it got to be Bianca or Naomi to me, because it got to be somebody she trusts. Because I feel like you can't just beat her up to that extent unless we're trying to debut somebody completely new. And I don't know anybody that's coming up that I think could just beat down Jay like this.
All right, so we got Bianca, we got Naomi. Gina, what about you? Who did it?
I mean, it's really difficult because Monty's points are like literally the same as what I'm thinking, in terms of like, I don't know what Bianca would gain from attacking her tag partner right now. So unless they're gonna, make it a Naomi heel turn, and then Bianca will spend the next few weeks, acting really hurt that her other friend, only to turn on Jade maybe at the Royal Rumble herself, and then that's what will lead up to the Bianca versus Jade at WrestleMania. I don't really know, but in my eyes, it's one of the two, either Naomi or Bianca. I think they should go with the Naomi angle first, and then Bianca join her after in the heel turn. But I don't know. I don't know which way they're going to go at this point.
Well, I reckon it was Rikishi, and he did it for Naomi. It's the only thing that makes sense. Like I said, the amount of damage Cargill took, it's got to be Rikishi.
Yeah, but he would have hit her with the car. You know, he left the car there, so he changed his MO.
Yeah, to be fair, no,
Yeah, to
Triple
change
H is
it
behind
up,
it.
it would be so easy to. It
By
would
the
be so
Incredible
easy to
Hulk.
put two together.
We see LA Knight beat Santos with the US title on the line. Nakamura appeared on the stage distracting, which didn't work, but he beat him up afterwards. Jaxie, what's your thought on Nakamura's new look? And of course, the theme that everybody loved. And let's fuck it up.
I mean, I was intrigued. I was very much excited to kind of see his return and to see him as a heel. I was like, well, maybe he's just here to fuck shit up, you know? So like seeing like sort of this new change up already intrigues me to see what he would bring to the WWE again.
Yeah, without doubt. We see Cody and KO have a face-off. Owens appeared in the crowd and taunted him. He said everything that's happened to Rose's fault was Rose's fault because he worked with Reigns, who tried to end Owens' career. What was weird, and Monty, I'm sure you noticed this, being the expert that you are, but the camera angles, tone of segment, and even Owens' attire heavily paralleled a promo exchange Kevin Steen had with Davey Richards in Ring of Honor in 2012, you know, basically about his quest for the world title, Jim Cornette not wanting to get it, but spoiler alert, Steen did win the world title in the end. So is this where we're going with it?
He got it. I think it was genius if that is the play. I hope. I think this is one time where, you know, it's time for, you know, Triple H gets a lot of flack. Some of it deservedly, some of it I understand that, you know, he wants the playoff story beef. But I think this is the one time to where it's like, yeah, pull the trigger, man. Because Kevin makes so many great points. And I just feel like at this point, not that I'm not interested in babyface Cody, because I believe you got plenty of legs, but especially since it's reports that nobody even knows if this whole payoff with The Rock is going to be able to happen for at least in time for this year's WrestleMania. So if that's the case, if we don't even know, we don't have, like, I guess he could pop up at any time and be like, yeah, I can go. But if we don't know, I don't know what's the point of keeping Cody but we've already starting to see the cracks in him start to form just from this one feud with Kevin. And Kevin is just making so many great points. But you're like camera accurate. Kevin is one of those guys too, where I think a guy like him is gonna always shine because he's a logical character. Even when the old man was booking, a lot of stuff didn't make sense around him. Kevin, for some reason, his character was always allowed to just bring a little bit of common sense to the fact to his character, and I think that's what he's doing here. And like, as much as I love Cody, as many arguments as they can make, if you especially this promo right here, if you look at what Cody was saying, like, didn't he sound heelish when he told Kevin all of that was his fault, or the fact that you didn't take out my leg, even though that Kevin. He also was manipulating best friends. We're respect, right? And, you know, that first match that they had about sports and like each other, and you deserve this. But then you come back a few months later, where you should have took out my leg, which would have been very dirty at the time of you. But you know, that's what the old Kevin would have did. It's like, that's manipulating in a way, in my opinion, at least from my perspective. Like Cody said a couple of things where I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, you making points, but you're not making better points than Kevin. And then also at the same time, you sound, you know, a little bit like you're being manipulative. So I don't know, man. I think it's gonna be a very good match. I think because the first match was really good, but I think the intensity is gonna be different. And I just really hope they go all the way with it. You know, let Kevin go back to power bombing on the apron. I want him to go full fledged. I mean, you know, the only thing that's bothering me about him actually pulling it off is it's been a few weeks, and we still got time for the Viper to make an appearance. And I think that might be the only thing that can stop it. But really, I think logically, though, man, like, you can't tell me this isn't some of the best work Kevin's been doing. And if you're not going to give him the world title now, I don't know if he'll ever have a better opportunity, man, as a character, to me.
And also it plays into the Orton turn on Cody eventually. If Owens is successful, Orton comes back and goes, well, you never gave me a title shot. You gave Kevin one, and he took the title as well. You know? So we've still got that. The final segment On SmackDown was another Bloodline Civil War meeting between the two factions. They met 5-on-4 in the middle of the ring, and Soda said he wasn't there to fight because he loved them all. He offered him a chance to join his bloodline and be family again. Before Reigns could respond, Paul Heyman's voice echoed through the arena, and he came out to a big pop. He brought out CM Punk to be the fifth man on Reigns' team, and all hell broke loose. I mean, Gina, this is just, again, we probably kind of guessed it would be Punk, but the like I said, the execution and the reaction was worth it.
Yeah, definitely. I think we all were thinking, who else has Paul been linked to? There's only one of two people that could have been. I think in recent light, with all stories that have been coming out, the other person would not have made sense to bring back in. So it made more sense to go with Punk. So yeah, I thought this was brilliant. And I also think that it shows and solidifies how much of the glue Paul Heyman really is with the bloodline, because to be honest, it felt like, shit was hitting the fan and all hell was breaking loose, because Roman kind of felt like he couldn't really direct the bloodline without having Paul Heyman there too. So yeah, I feel like it really kind of added and cemented that Paul was really the glue to holding them all together.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. I think we saw it there as well. And even Roman, not burst into smile, that little kind of recognition of seeing Paul Heyman kind of, my wise man's back, man, which is just really nice moment as well. But the elephant in the room, I mean, Punk said he didn't know if he could go through Hell in a Cell, but would just jump back into a War Games match because of Heyman. But hey, let's forget about it. Let's not worry about it. 25th.
I think they saved it with the favor talk. That's the only thing that saved it for me, is that Paul promised him something, and that's the only thing that's saving him from looking like a complete. Let's be honest. At this point, a lot of wrestling fans call Punk a hypocrite anyway.
Yeah. I'm not
just
again,
for being back in WWE.
Say, but I don't know if War is better than Hell. So do you know what I mean? Maybe he's going, well, Hell's going to be worse, isn't it? Like, this is just War. I've been to Hell. So anyway,
right.
25th November Raw. Survivor Series should be called How Gunther Got His Groove Back. This ain't the Gunther we kind of know. Another conversation with Priest, but again, left on his ass. He says, in the ring you may be general, but in the streets, Priest is king. Jaxie, maybe not as hot a build as we had towards SummerSlam between Priest and Gunther, but then again, Gunther is in a very different position right now than he has been.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing a little bit more of a loose cannon Gunther, I should say. I feel like Damien really is kind of getting under his skin a little, and it is causing Gunther to kind of lash out, in less of a ring general type of manner. Do you know what I mean? He feels kind of a little bit more aggressive, and really kind of I wasn't sure what to expect from Gunther leading into Survivor Series, because you just saw kind of like a more out of control sort of type within him. So yeah, there was more intrigue by that, because you could see that Gunther was kind of losing his cool. It's like Damien's words were really getting to him, Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what they do, because again with Priest, we know how good he can be. The same with Gunther as well. We have had this feud before, so it'd be interesting to see, like I said, different take on it as well, and Gunther kind of losing a little bit of his confidence. Speaking of champions, the Intercontinental title was on the line with Bron Breakker versus Ludwig Kaiser, but that ended with Sheamus getting involved, and Adam Pearce made it a triple threat for Survivor Series. He also announced the Women's Intercontinental title, which again, like the US title, can only be a good thing on Raw this time. The World Tag titles, though, remain with Finn Balor and JD after beating the War Raiders. Monty, was this the right choice? Because we've talked about the tag division. It's not been used well, really, on the main roster.
You're talking about them retaining, right?
Yeah, those retaining, just to state the division.
I mean, is the only reason why I can understand anybody saying it was the wrong choice is just based on where we added the tag division. I think at this point, I don't necessarily understand from a storytelling standpoint why Judgment Day need that. I mean, because at this point they're not even really moving as a faction. If we being honest, the latest, if you just go off the last few weeks, you got Liv and Dom, and I kind of see a little bit of the power dynamics of the Judgment Day changing, of Dom seemingly wanting a higher position, and then him and Finn, whether they're making it a big deal right now or not, we might come back to it. That they seem to be butting heads a little bit right now. But other than that, they're not really moving to where I feel like as a faction they need the tag titles because it makes them, really look like they're sticking together. Right now, the tag titles just seem like they're out of sight, out of mind for the most part. So that's why I kind of can understand. Like, yeah, it's the wrong move because, wouldn't it be better to just look at what you're doing with the tag team belts on SmackDown. You have the Motor City Machine Guns. You have a legit, like we talked about on the last WWE update. We have a division seemingly being built on SmackDown, but on Raw it's just most of the time you're like, where the hell are the tag belts? And then when you get a tag match like this, because they've only defended like 2 or 3 times on television at all, so you take that into account. We get a lot of storylines with certain teams and stuff like that with the New Day and all of that stuff going on, but as far as like their involvement and other teams' involvement with chasing Judgment Day, we didn't really have anything. I know they did a tournament, but we didn't really have anything building it up. So I felt like if you're gonna do a tournament, at least have the Viking Raiders or whoever else would win that tournament. At least have them come out on top and crown new champions, so we can actually build something similar to what we have on SmackDown on Raw. So yeah, I do think that this was like a missed opportunity right now because what are we gonna do if the Viking Raiders end up winning it in a few weeks anyway? Like, you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't it feel like why we couldn't do it now? You know what I mean? So
now,
it's just really weird, that decision in my opinion, because I don't understand what story we're trying to tell with JD having those belts.
Yeah, well, New Day lost to American Alpha, speaking of tag division. After the match, New Day returned backstage where weeks of frustration boiled over, coming in an exchange of insults. They were then going their separate ways. Can we all agree as a group that this never happened to us, all right? I mean, we don't know how it's going to work out. It might be all right for the New Day. We'll find out after Survivor Series. Bianca Belair earned the advantage for her team, victory over Nia Jax, but it's thanks to Bayley that she did get the win, and the exchange looks like Bayley might be taking Belair's place. So, Gina, could it be Bayley that did it? Because she gets a spot at War Games.
I mean, I think it points perfectly to Bayley because of the situation that's come out from it, because she's got that final spot. I think it's very easy to say, nah, it was definitely Bayley wanting a spot on the team and creeping her way in. And again, I think for Bayley, it's kind of like wrong place, wrong time type of thing. I think that they will think it's definitely Bayley. She got the spot on the main team, like it's definitely her. And so then everyone's going to be super shocked when they find out it wasn't her. It was actually maybe Bianca or Naomi, But
again, Bianca's
I think also adding on to that as well. Yeah, but that's what I wanted to quickly add in, James. So what I wanted to add in really was like this dynamic that Bayley has found herself in, having been part of a faction like Damage Control and then booted out. She's very isolated, and the only sort of welcoming hand she's had at the moment is Naomi. So from this point of view of like it looking a lot like maybe it could have been Bayley that's taken Jade out, you can also look at it like another angle of Bayley really is trying to be there for people that she values as friends, that being Naomi, that being like the frustrations that sort of she's had with Nia Jax and stuff herself as well. Maybe she's trying to redeem herself here. But again, with the foreshadowing of who attacked Jade, it's so easy to kind of pinpoint Bayley as potentially the bad guy. So yeah, there's a weird dynamic there of is she or isn't she?
Isn't it weird that we've been reviewing WWE for so long and now it's actually so like entwined and stuff like this, as opposed to just like shit being thrown at a wall as it was like 4 years ago? Like it's crazy how times change. But again, like I said, excellent
and
point
like
there.
It credits us for watching wrestling the last year because, like you just mentioned. Like Bailey's history with damage control plays a factor in all of this, and also it plays a factor into the team dynamics because now you have Io on this team too. So it's just like it's really really cool where we at right now.
Without a doubt. SmackDown Go Home, Nakamura defeated Andrade. LA Knight ran to the ring for a fight but was immediately misted. Rose defeated Hayes in a good match. The US title tournament with Michin, Niven and Lash Legend squaring off. Michin got the win. We saw a cinematic video with Reigns, Punk and Heyman. I mean, Gina, it was different. And again, that's not a bad thing.
What do you mean? What was different?
You remember the sit down between? I mean, it's very memorable. Sit down between Heyman, Punk, and Reigns. Reigns was going to leave because Punk wasn't there, and then Punk showed up.
Yeah, it was. It did feel. I know this might sound, people might argue back with this. It felt a little cringy, just a little bit, because yeah, the whole Roman like, I'm not. Where is he? I'm not waiting around. I'm going. Getting up to leave and Punk then turning up, you know, it was all like, okay, all right, get on with it sort of thing. So like I just know that they wanted to add in those dramatics and you gave us it, you know, you wanted the dramatics, you gave us it, thanks.
Well, the problem is, like I said, they've shot the load the previous week. You know, do that this week with Punk showing up for the first time, and we'll be excited. When it's just a sit down, you go, yeah, they really just waiting now, aren't we? this SmackDown doesn't mean much, but it did.
What do other people expect is going to happen? Do they think like Punk and Roman are going to start fighting each other in this 1-to-1 instead? Like that, it wasn't really the thing. I get it. I think maybe if they did it the other way around and Paul like tried to do a face to face and maybe Roman and Punk argued and it looked like they were not going to be on the same terms, and then the following week have the four of them go out, look like it's a lost cause, and then Punk's music drop and him come out and show that he is going to be the fifth. I think that would have been a more fun and exciting way around to do it. But, you know, oh well. Either way, people were still excited to see Punk.
Yeah, they were. This week's main event as well was between Jay and Fatu to determine the advantage in the men's War Games match. Fatu won a good match. And Jaxie, I think this tells us a lot about WWE's thinking of Jacob Fatu, because Jey Uso is, I mean, I don't know how many times he's lost this year, but very few.
I mean, again, if anyone hasn't watched this match, I actually do implore you to watch it because it was such a great match, and it just continues to show not only that Jey Uso has such a big following right now that like he can do no wrong, and he is really high. But this match was awesome between the two of them. Jacob looked good, really good as well. And I really don't think that this like hurt Jay in the slightest. They've definitely protected him a lot, and I just think that, you know, he's got it, you know. But this was a great match, and this really kind of hyped you up to how else this is going to explode within War Games, you know.
Yeah, and it feels like I'm saying this a lot about a lot of people at this moment in time, especially in WWE. But again, Jey Uso versus Jacob Fatu, I can see that for a heavyweight title in a couple of years' time. You know, the future is these two guys as well in a weird way, you know. So
definitely, I can see that for sure.
Yeah, it's good to see that. So we got on to the countdown then. November 30th, Vancouver, Canada. It's the first PLE since Rock Bottom back in 1998. Michael Cole, Wade Barrett and Big E are outside, and it looks cold. Kathy Kelly was wandering around, so was Jackie Redmond. We got a nice look back at War Games, including WCW. You know, it didn't just start in NXT, everybody. Top 10 Survivor Series moment. Monty, what would be the top Survivor Series moment that WWE picked out?
You asked me what the best one was?
I'm just going to put you on the spot. I'm going to put you on the spot to guess it. Yeah, what do you think they picked?
Shoot. Trying to think of one with like the most implications, but that's tough. It wasn't. No. I'm gonna say the end of the invasion, but I doubt it.
That was in the top 10. That was in the
okay,
top
so
10.
It was in there though. And then like I think about Ziggler Ziggler being the sole survivor, but I know that's not
Ziggler was not fucking mentioned. No
they didn't
sign
even
of the
mention that?
No mention of that.
Oh my
no
God.
mention of screw job. No debut of Sting.
No screw job. Wow.
No screw job. The
So
triple threat
Undertaker
super
debut.
kick.
I know they
The
did
Undertaker
that.
debut was number one. That was the number.
It was
one
number one.
moment.
Okay. All right. So here we go.
Oh, was it not? Yeah, but wasn't it like Kane that debuted there?
No, Kane debuted
Like,
at Bad
really
Blood
not-
1997.
It was Bad
Oh, it was
Blood.
Bad Blood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Killing
What
the
about, did they have Mankind at Survivor Series?
No, they had The Rock debut at Survivor Series.
I knew they had the Rock debut. Yeah.
The triple threat, the DX and John Cena, the super kick, that was involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the most recent one was.
How
I think
they-
it was Lynch.
They
and
just
Charlotte.
erasing. They just erasing the authority, huh?
Yeah, honestly,
Like,
that is not.
How do you
anymore.
do Dolph Ziggler like that, man? That was like the most relevant he ever was. Like you said, Sting debuted that night. Like
That was he was like really popular at that point as well. So why wouldn't you have that as a highlight?
Yeah, they didn't.
So weird.
They'd show Moxley. There's a Shield reunion. I don't know what Survivor it was. Probably 2016. When the three of them put AJ Styles through the announce table.
The one they want.
They're not going to go ahead and show Dolph.
No, he's TNA. They're like, fuck Dolph. He's dead to us.
Come on.
Nick and Dolph are not having a good year, are they? Bless them.
Yeah, the Nemeth brothers are not on anybody's Christmas cards list.
Undertaker's debut, I guess, is the most iconic moment. But come on, man. It's been plenty of stuff since then, but all right.
I know. We see Gunther interviewed. Confidence is up to him. Is up for him. He wishes Ludwig well. CM Punk return was seen, which is on YouTube as well, which again is quite good. Randy Orton freaking out at CM Punk and going, "Can I not have a moment?" We see Sign Guy with Pete interviewing him. Who says the kickoff is not worthwhile? Jackie took over for Cole. Pete also joins. A look back at 87, the first Survivor Series. The moment Starrcade had to move months. Regal was interviewed. We got a lot of New Day clips from Up, Up, Down, Down. Not much else in 2 fucking hours. We did have Elizabeth, I've already forgotten her surname, sing Star Spangled Banner and Oh Canada. What's that about? So let's get to the main show then, and we start with a Women's War Games match. And we've got a long series of intro videos and backstage shots. We actually saw the Hill team arrive twice, which is quite cool. Bailey and Jax began for their teams. We saw the order of entry as follows: Naomi, LeRae, Belair, Stratton, Sky, Rodriguez, Ripley, and then Morgan. Bailey and Jax put each other through the ringer before anyone else made it to the ring. We saw Morgan show up. She brought a signature baseball bat. The Hills held Ripley while Morgan hit her several times in the body. Sky had a special purple and yellow trash can. She tied to her body before climbing into the cage. I fucking love EO. This is just EO. It's all it was about. Rodriguez spent some time looking for a weapon before she decided just to get in the ring without one. Ripley did wear an awesome mask instead of the usual protector she had been wearing. But the moonsault from Sky, who had the trash can on her head, and the swanton from Stratton off the top of the cage, almost at the same time, looked awesome. Ripley won for her team by hitting Riptide and Morgan through a table. But EO is so fucking cool. Jaxie, start us off. What were your thoughts on this?
Like, my thoughts are exactly the same. EO is so fucking cool. Like, that moment with her and Tiffany at the top of the cage was such a highlight moment, and I'm glad that they both had that moment to shine. It was excellently well executed, if that makes sense. This match, especially to be the opening of Survivor Series, worked so well. The crowd were completely hyped up. They were shouting like, "This is awesome" chants, and they were not quiet once throughout this match. Oh, actually, maybe they were quiet once, and that was when Raquel came out. When it was her time to come out. No one would. There was absolute silence. It was kind of funny. But yeah, I just loved all of the storytelling in all of this. There was like that brief moment between Bailey and EO, like sort of like kind of looking at each other and just wondering whether or not shit was going to pop off between them. There was that awesome moment of, is she going to cash in when Tiffany brought out the briefcase? So there were just some real highlight moments from everyone. And I thought they all just worked really well. And, credit to Bailey for being the first one in there and probably being the longest in there for that match. She is a veteran. She's an all-rounder. And, she was a great support within the whole match. I loved that Naomi was dressed like a birthday cake. Happy birthday to Naomi on that day. It was great to kind of see that, and just seeing Nia Jax get hit with a toilet seat by Rhea was another highlight moment of my that I just thoroughly enjoyed. Oh, and shout out to Naomi of taking after Rikishi and giving my girl Nia a little bit of the cheeks there. She deserved that moment as well. It was a real fun match for me. I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, no, it was really, really good stuff. To say Nia Jax was not comfortable with her surroundings might be a little bit of an understatement. But Monty, as Jax said, this was like watching a car crash, And again, Io might be my... You know what I think of Io. She's been my favourite for how long now? Because this is what she does.
Yeah, I think that's why it's always a no-brainer to put her in these matches. To be honest, she's gonna do something. I love like after the match at the press conference, and they asked her what's going through her mind when she gets the trash can on her head and does the flip, and she was like, "Oh, I just put the trash can on and flip." Like basically, it's like she don't think about it. It's just she's so badass like this. She just do it. She said she trusts, and that's I guess that explains how you can just do these unconscious things like she does. But yeah, man, I thought it was good. I was really surprised to kind of see the discourse the next day. That's why I don't let social media or let people shape the way I look at stuff. I take matches for what they are and how I'm feeling while I'm watching them, and I advise everybody to do that because a lot of people just was killing this match. Like it was just not good, and I didn't understand it. Like the crowd was really into it, like you mentioned. Poor Raquel with the apathy pop for the most part. I don't really understand why that people don't really care about whatever she does. I know me and you, James, we remember her in NXT. She definitely was a hell of a lot more interesting back in those days. Maybe it's because we've seen her gimmick 1,000 times. We've seen the bodyguard, like we've seen it done 1,000 times too. So she's gonna have to do something before you know it. To make people, that's why I wasn't joking. Put her and Rhea in another hardcore last woman standing match. Let them kill each other, and maybe people will care about.
I agree with that.
Yeah, just let them do what they do because they have great chemistry together. One-on-one. So again,
I was kind of excited to see her return though at first because straight away I could tell it wasn't the stupid smiley face Raquel that I really could not stand. Like where she was just constantly had a smile plastered on her face. So there was excitement on her initial return. But I have to agree with Monty. We've seen the bodyguard storyline with her before. And I wasn't like excited by her becoming Liv's bodyguard. That's all.
And the problem too is that the shelf life with that, because we've seen it before, what happens, James, every time this happens, everybody knows is a few months or however many time goes by, the bodyguards start getting abused or whatever. Or honestly, we just seen it with Mercedes and Camille. So like it's literally the shelf life is not that long, and then the bodyguard turns on the heel, and now we gotta treat her like a babyface. Well, we already been there, Raquel. Well, no one's interested in it, so she's gonna have to do something to make this feel different than what we've all seen before. Because, again, I think she has the potential, and she has a great look. She's powerful. So, I know she can be a dominant force, but, again, I just at this point, nobody really cares. And like you said, James, that is the kiss of death. As much as you can do whatever you want, but once you get that label to where no one cares what you're doing, you're in trouble. So
you could have her just turn on Liv and be like, "You're such a loser, I'm better off without you," sort of thing, to keep her like a heel, and then just have her go off on her own tangent and actually come for Rhea herself, But I don't know. I agree with Monty.
She's gonna need something.
The thing is Raquel needs to step up. If she steps up to Rhea, She's saying, look, I don't need Liv. I can take you on like this. And again, the crowd would then realise and go, oh, shit, that's what you're, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Like, don't have Raquel become like a face, but like just have her be like, oh, screw you, Liv, you're like weighing me down, sort of thing, and just keep her as a heel and actually go off on her own dominant self.
Yeah, I think so. And again, another couple of questions. I mean, Gina, I'll ask you these couple of questions here. Ripley got the pin. Did she need to get it? And also, Tiffany Stratton with a cash in. Should she have cashed in? And is it getting a bit, beyond a joke now? Or are we just going to forget about it until she actually does cash in now?
Yes and no for Ripley getting the pin. It kind of made sense, especially with the face injury that Liv gave her. I felt like Rhea needed to get that pin again on Liv, A, to show I can get my belt back anytime because I've pinned you, B, because she's getting revenge for breaking her actual face and orbital bone. But in a way, could someone else in that match have benefited from getting that big, team win for her team? Probably, yeah. Like I really would have loved Io to get that pin because she smashed it for me that whole match. She was the VIP for me. So I definitely feel like it's a 50-50 with that question with Rhea. And what was the second question?
With Stratton, she cashed in, and again we spoke about last time. Attempted cash-ins should be, take the suitcase off you, try it.
It just starts to get a bit boring. So yeah, for me, I don't know whether she should have cashed in or not then, because I think it may have taken away from the actual War Games team versus team storyline if she did. But I am getting super bored of the whole should she cash in, should she not? I think it's because it's been done teased quite a few times, especially over the past few months. So yeah, it is starting to get a little bit boring. I don't mind the Money in the Bank winners holding on to their briefcases until they generally feel comfortable to hand it in. That's fine. But if you're going to come out every pay-per-view, or not even every pay-per-view, even every other week on your house show and tease it's going to start to get a bit boring. So when Tiffany did start teasing this, I'll be honest, I was like, she ain't cashing in. So I wasn't excited. I wasn't getting like the crowd were in the actual stadium going, oh, like, is she going to cash in? I was like, she ain't going to cash in right away because of the amount of teases we've had with it so far. And I'm like, they're not doing it here. That's for sure.
Also, sis, actually, to add on what you're saying, sis, I feel like there is this, like, there's already, for a lot of WWE fans who've been kind of watching a lot of the storylines play out lately, I think there's also this added thing of, we all know she's not cashing in on Liv. Liv has got her own actual story with Rhea. We don't see Tiffany like swapping over to Raw, that sort of thing. And there's this building storyline with Nia Jax. So, like, I guess, like, that also adds into what you're saying, sis, about, like, in this situation specifically, none of us believed that she was going to cash in because she wouldn't have cashed in on Liv, and she definitely wouldn't have cashed in on her own teammate during that match. So,
yeah, without a doubt. Candice LeRae was in her biggest match to date on the main roster and did very well. And the other interesting thing...
she did smash it. Oh, yeah. Fair play to Candice.
Very well. Monty, I'll ask you this. Bianca Belair's still holding the tag title, so have they got something planned? Can she get another partner, or have they just not bothered to take off her yet?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate, but it's probably the latter. They just haven't bothered to do it yet. I mean, it depends. It all depends, because I've heard different things. I've heard that Jade is going to be gone a while. She's legit hurt. I've also heard that it may not be that bad or even a real injury. I don't know, to be honest. So I think a lot of this is based on that. I think if it was, I think you go ahead and strip them immediately, in my opinion. Either way, in my opinion, because I just feel like we have other women's tag teams that just sitting around. They don't even really get TV time unless they're in this situation. So to have it on Bianca while her partner is taken out, kayfabe-wise or legitimately, it's just, in my opinion, it's just a waste. But I also understand they're introducing new mid-card titles. So I think the priority level for the tag division is going down. This was always my thing. As much as I understood why fans felt like we needed a women's mid-card title, I'm not against getting them. I just always felt like until we got some consistency with the tag division or tag belts, I don't know if I would go all in on the mid-card belts because we barely have enough time as it is. But I'm sure as we go into next year and with the Netflix and the way different things go, I'm sure they'll find creative ways to utilize and get it done. But yeah, it was very interesting that she still has the belt and just kind of holding it hostage right now. So we'll see. We'll see how long they allow her to do that, but it definitely seems very weird. Like I said, either we're going to get a story beat soon that explains what's going on, or she's going to get stripped. But like it makes sense in my opinion now to do it. I mean, honestly, they could have did it on the Go Home show right before War Games, but they decided not to. So we'll see.
And another thing as well, lots more sponsors on the mat as well, but we're going to see that, with Tico and everything like that being involved. And also EO's and Ripley's had a very nice celebration, I will say. So, Jaxie, what would you score out of 5?
I'm giving this match a 5.
I'm giving it a 5. Monty?
Yeah, like I said, I thought it was better than people were saying. I gave it a 4. I thought it was a good match. Everybody worked hard. And, I don't necessarily think Rhea needed the win, but you can't argue with the results, to be honest, because like you mentioned, the biggest storyline in the women's division besides what happened to Jay right now is Liv and Rhea pretty much. So yeah, I think this is good. 4.
Yeah, no doubt. Gina?
I gave it a 4.5.
Get 4.5. I'm going to give it 4 3/4. Anytime EO, I don't care. This is the only time you're ever going to hear me say I'm not going to complain about the same spot in matches. I do not care if every single War Games EO goes up, puts a trash can on the head, and then jumps off. All right. If anything, we should be grateful for it. 4 3/4. Predictions: WNR Prediction League 2024 after Full Gear and before Survivor Series. The bonus league: Monty on 24. Gina and I cannot be separated on 15. Jaxie on 11. And the WWE, where it really matters, Monty is on 6. I'm on 5. Gina on 4. Jaxie on 2. So the permutations, Monty is guaranteed a win. Only with a win can I catch him. I think we're all on board here. What's going to happen? All heels apart from me. So I'm on 1. The rest on 0. You all got it wrong. Ha ha. US title. LA Knight versus Nakamura. Knight dropped his belt during the entrance. The announcers called attention to it, tried to claim it was all because he was intimidated. The King of Strong Style took the upper hand right away, but Knight turned the tables on him after a couple of minutes and started controlling the pace. Nakamura connected with a back elbow, a bit more than intended, but Knight took it like a champ. Nakamura reverse suplex, almost dropped Knight on his face, but he did hit him reverse DDT on the steel plate between the two rings. And then Nakamura hit the Kinshasa, and your new US champion, Shinsuke Nakamura. Monty, what were your thoughts? A pleasant surprise.
Yeah, man, this is one of those times where, like I kind of mentioned with Kevin Owens, it's one of those things that you kind of want to see more. If you have anything you really want to criticize about Triple H, it's his booking style. It's like, will you do that? But honestly, I think I realized during Shinsuke's entrance, because you mentioned they changed his music, but they changed it again on this show, and it was I'm not mad at the music. I like it. I like the creepy version of the old song. I think it fits the aesthetic of what he has going right now really well. Because they tried to turn him heel in the past, and you can kind of tell when what he did when the old man turned him heel. He didn't really change much. He just added drums to the other song and then just kind of let Shinsuke go out there and still basically be the same person. But the difference is he would low blow you every now and then, or sometimes he would use miss. I like this a little bit better because the way they explain the way his new refreshing take on his character and the samurai and the Japanese inspiration with the samurai helmet and kind of being a dark samurai. Also looking more undeadish or like zombie like with the paint. I just think it's expertly done. Like, if it's one thing Japanese wrestlers are really good at, is when it's time to reinvent themselves. Just historically speaking, you can go back to Jushin Thunder Liger, you can go to Great Muta, who's had many different incarnations of himself. They do a great job of reinventing themselves and changing this and flipping the script on what you kind of know them to be. And I think this new dark persona, I think this victory here, and like they said, making the point that he took LA Knight off his game and all of that, I think that really helped establish and find. And now I think everybody is on notice. Like, I think most people saw him on this match and was like, well, dang, I like Shinsuke, but it's unfortunate because he's going to fight a red hot LA Knight, and he's probably not going to win. Because I know that was my inkling. But I also knew that to really establish and really make this run be different, he would have to win. And it's one of them things where I did not predict it, but I'm very happy that it happened. Not only is Shinsuke the reason why I found New Japan Pro Wrestling, I always credit him to that. I just also think that for somebody so damn good, he's not even scratched the surface with how great he can be. Now, and I'm saying that about a guy who I think this is like his third or fourth time with the U.S. belt now. Yeah, so hopefully this time he can make it count. I do understand the argument though that I saw for people having, like, how could you throw Melo and Andrade aside for Shinsuke, who already had a run with it? And I'm not going to argue with that. I definitely I can understand the case to want to get Melo this win early. Melo has plenty of time. It's really like maybe an Andrade I really do get, because I'm like, okay, Andrade could have used this too to establish himself. But to be honest, Shinsuke with the new look and possibly, rampaging through the mid card, and maybe even if this works out and if they continue to push the right buttons, he can use this to push himself up the card. Because I just feel like if they do this right, allow him to use the miss when necessary, allow him to be more vicious, Shinsuke can possibly get himself back into a world title picture at some point. And it was what he needed. After losing to Seth Rollins like the 4 or 5 times, he needed this. So I'm really happy with this. And I thought this was a really good match. I gave the match 4 stars also, because like that Scorpion death drop on the metal part, crazy spot. And like LA Knight, I give him credit. I know he probably wanted this run to continue, but every match you can see LA Knight was trying to elevate this belt and have the best match possible. And I thought there was another situation here, and they only had about 10 minutes, so I thought they did the best they could with what they were given. This was good.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to follow War Games like we talk about. We should say the Mist is taught in dojos in Japan. Just in case you're wondering, any Japanese wrestler knows how to do the Mist. But no, I like this. And again, Gina, the thing I liked, obviously the match itself, but in fact Nakamura's turned into Shredder. And I was like, this is so fucking cool. Like, the child inside me is just loving this.
Definitely. This is totally fun to see Shinsuke come back. And again, he's not a different character, but he is, in a way, like you just rightly explained. And it's so nice to see because he's so committed. So I'm so here for this new, improved, or however you want to describe Shinsuke. And I really like the dark feeling of that. It came with the horror season as well. I just love it.
Yeah, really good stuff. And Jaxie, as Monty mentioned, it's a shame though, because LA Knight's reign as US champion has been really good, but as you mentioned, prediction-wise, you kind of knew this was going to happen.
Well, I mean, you can't bring someone like Nakamura back with, kind of what we've already discussed about sort of intrigue behind this new character, behind this new entrance music, like, and think like, about what he's previously done. And, Monty rightly pointed out, kind of like the sort of losses he was taking from Seth, like something needed to change. And there was no way he was going to make any sort of impact in a comeback if he didn't win here, So I have to agree with a lot of this. I know there was a lot of like discussion about, some of the younger talent like Carmelo Hayes, and I have to agree with Monty's point as well that he's still young. And I think that putting the belt on someone like a veteran like Nakamura will actually open the path for many great matches that he still has left in him with this younger talent before putting them over. So I think that this is a strategic move as well, or from what I envision it. This was a strategic move, and LA Knight is that hot, so I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. So I thought this was an excellent match. I gave this a 4.5 because I thought that LA Knight and Nakamura worked really well together. That Scorpion Death Drop looked absolutely incredible. And I want to see more of this aggressive Nakamura because this is what I've kind of seen briefly of some of his run in New Japan. And I'm more intrigued by this character that they've so far presented. So let's not drop the ball with him and, see what sort of matches we can get out of him.
Yeah, without a doubt. Gina, what would you give this out of 5?
I did enjoy this match, so I gave this one a 4.
Yeah, I gave it a 4 as well. Predictions, well, the girls went for Nakamura, boys went Knight, so Monty on 0, the rest are on 1. As we get the IC title match, Bron Breakker versus Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser. Kaiser took a bit of a breather at ringside while Sheamus and Breakker fought. Tried to bring a chair in the ring, but Bron laid him out before he could use it. For a little while, Sheamus and Bron teamed up to beat on Kaiser, but Breakker quickly turned on Sheamus. Bron leapt from the apron to hit a clothesline that sent both opponents over the announce desk. Kaiser narrowly managed to stop Sheamus from winning by pulling the referee out of the ring during the pin. We got a "This is awesome" chant as all three men traded near falls. But in the end, it was Breakker who got the win with the spear to retain his title. Gina, what are your thoughts on this?
The Bron match, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed this match. It was really good. Again, I'm not surprised by the outcome. I had a feeling Bron was going to get it back, and like a triple threat was the way to kind of like do that with protecting pretty much all of them that was in this match. But either way, I think all three of them worked so good together. I think Kaiser really stood out on showing that, he's not just a lackey for Gunther. I can fight on my own and hold my own. And Sheamus just battered them both. It was really great to see. I think all three of them had great chemistry, but ultimately I think the right person won the match, because I think they want to keep pushing Bron, and the way to do that is give him the belt back.
Yeah, but like you said, Kaiser looked great, and again, Bron pinning Sheamus protects Ludwig from a bollocking. So, win all round there, I suppose.
Yeah. At least we don't get to see a beating of Ludwig on Raw come next week.
We saw Ref Cam as well. But again, Sheamus with banger after banger, Jaxie, he only needs this title to complete a Hall of Fame career. He's got to do it at some point, surely.
I mean, they've really got to, keep pushing him in the way that they do. But he's such a lovable character that, the universe love him. So I can only imagine that, he will eventually get there.
Yeah, I think that. Bron did have classic Steiner design for his gear, so I'm glad he's listening to us. And also, Monty, I don't know if you know, but the shillelagh is taught in Irish gyms. So any Irish athlete knows how to use a shillelagh as well. So again, but as we've mentioned before,
I don't know if Sheamus learned. He always getting used on him, it seems, at this point.
Well,
I don't know if he
Finley's
trained
fault,
right.
to be fair. But again, as we spoke about, a Sheamus veteran, but the other two are just shine.
Hell yeah, when it comes to putting on a hell of a fight and not being able to get over the hump, is anybody better than Sheamus at this point right now? Like this is just what he does. Like, he beats the hell out of you, survives, but can't win that Intercontinental title for some reason. But like you said, I feel like at some point, or maybe waiting for a bigger stage, he would be a perfect guy to even if it is Braun or not Braun, he'd be the perfect person, in my opinion, to finally get over that hump at some point. Because I just feel like, just like you mentioned earlier, that just kind of has to happen, right? But yeah, man, this was great for Kaiser, like you guys mentioned. I think that was possibly the whole function, the whole entire reason we were here in this triple threat format was to showcase Kaiser. In a big PLE. I think this is like his first PLE, match. Solo, I know. So yeah, man, this was really cool. And it was fun, man. They did a really good job of picking up the pace. Like, I think Shinsuke and LA Knight was smart. They worked a methodical pace. This came in and kind of picked it back up. That spear where Braun at the end there kind of went over Sheamus' body and caught Ludwig. Oh man, you just can't get much better than that. Like as much as I think the spear is overused, I would never complain about Braun Breaker's spear. I know it's a football player move, and that's why we do it, American football player move. But I know that's why a lot of people have it. But Braun, he does it the right way. I think that's if you're gonna do it, you have to run through him like a brick wall, and Braun definitely does that. And yeah, man. I don't know, man. I think this is just one of those matches where both the young guys shine. I think Braun looked great, looked dominant, and he won. And then I think Kaiser also showed, like mentioned earlier, that he's not just a sidekick. When need be, he can bring it. And then Sheamus did a great job of also making it seem like, you know what? Because like towards the end there, uh, it almost looked like Sheamus had it, man. The crowd was behind them, so they did a good. I think this is one of those rare occasions where it didn't even matter that it didn't matter how it ended. It didn't matter who got pinned. You came away from there thinking about all three guys in a higher standing, and I don't think you can ask for much more from a triple threat title match.
No, without a doubt. And again, Braun does something in every match I watch of him that I go, oh shit, or something like this, either a power move or something he does with ease, where you just like, oh shit. I mean, this one, like I said, the dive over the cameraman, as it looked like as well, was incredible. So scores then, Gene, I'll start with you. What would you give it at 5?
Yeah, again, this was a really good match, and Kaiser just stood out for me. So I gave this one a 4 as well.
Give it a 4. Jaxie?
I really enjoyed this match. I gave it a 4.5.
4.5. Monty?
Yeah, 4.5.
Yeah, and I gave it a 4 and a quarter. Predictions, we all went bronze. So Monty on 1, the rest on 2. The world title next, Gunther versus Damian Priest. The ring general took his time locking up and appeared a little hesitant, with which announcers played up a little bit. After some initial wariness, Gunther began to turn up the aggression and dish out the kind of punishment we are used to seeing from him. Priest hit a shoulder tackle and immediately started favouring his shoulder. It looked like he legitimately tweaked something until Gunther began focusing on it. Priest was covering at ringside from a bad fall. Finn Balor hit him with a coup de grace out of nowhere. Gunther took out Balor, and then, which was actually quite a funny moment, and then brought Priest back in for a powerbomb and a sleeper to win the match. Jaxie, what are your thoughts on this?
This was a great match between the two of them. I thought this was, they had a great match. Was it at SummerSlam? But
yes.
This match, it kind of felt different, when watching it. Like there was a lot more sort of on the line, so to speak. But I cannot help but tell you how much I knew Seth was going to get himself. Finn was going to get himself involved. Yeah. I kind of knew it. Like Finn has, conveniently over the past few weeks, just not gotten over the fact that, Damian is going after this. It's always been about Damian. He's got this obsession at the moment. So I kind of knew this was coming for him, and it's sad because I felt like, Damian had a really good sort of like chance at overcoming Gunther at one point. But that's what good storytelling does for you. I felt like this match went so well that I really felt at one point that Damian could win. But yeah, I kind of knew that Finn was going to get himself involved and screw Damian over. We haven't seen the last of these two facing off against each other, so we'll see what happens next for these two.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's an annoyance, but Gunther's beaten Priest twice now, thanks to Balor, So you kind of wonder, will there be a third? Without remember that time Drew couldn't win a title against Priest because of Punk? Like 3 times Punk helped Priest retain. It's like it's the same thing, really.
It's constantly kind of protecting the other guy still, and it's like, you're bringing other storylines into it, and it ends up kind of being this vicious cycle. So you just don't want to see a repeat of that again,
Yeah, without a doubt. Monty, for Priest, I mean, where's he go from here? He's never won at Survivor Series, and we all guessed he kind of wouldn't. But, I mean, where's he go now?
He's most likely going to cost Finn or beat down Finn again, I'm assuming, and then go into the Royal Rumble. I think that's pretty much the only play you kind of have, and then you can either tease him winning it to go and chase Gunther again, or what. But yeah, I honestly don't know. Like you mentioned, he's kind of in a ceiling at this point because I don't think like he's not the world champion. But also, like, where do you go just in general right now? And is this all about the Terror Twins both chasing championships, or is this about Finn and Priest finally getting, or like, is this about ending whatever they call the Judgment Day at this point? I don't even know if that matters anymore. So, yeah, man, it's really weird place. I believe that Priest is in right now, but at the same time, again, it was a great match. I think they have pretty good chemistry together. I think my biggest complaint about the Finn interference is not so much is his interference, because I'm hearing they have a push plan for Finn at some point, which is good because I love Finn. I think he's because he's been kind of been so forgiving and has put over Priest and has got in Judgment Day to help the Rhea Ripleys and the Doms, and I felt like that, but I also felt like he's taking a big step back from the Prince Finn Balor that we were getting to know in NXT on his way back to the main roster. And it'd be nice for him to get a push. I don't have a problem with that as much. But it's just like you mentioned, it's like, okay, we've seen this before. And like as much as I would like to, the only thing that saved it is that Gunther's also annoyed that he couldn't get this out of the way, because the entire story right now is basically the fact that Gunther wasn't on his game because a guy like Damian Priest gets under his skin. A guy like Damian Priest, although he's beaten him, he's one of those only guys on his resume that it's an asterisk by it. It's an asterisk. So I think that's one of the things. We kind of seen it earlier with the Randy match. When it was an asterisk there, he wanted to make sure that he beat Randy Orton and did it without any type of questions about it. And I think now that is still undone, I do think you're right, John. We're probably gonna get a third match somewhere down the line. I don't know when or how or when they're gonna try to do that, but I wouldn't be surprised if Gunther would have to do it, decisively. But again, Finn Balor getting involved, or the possibility of a triple threat, could definitely come into play. You never really know. But I think Priest, that's where I'm at. I'm like, at the end of the day, he's still in that picture, but it's just like, as long as Gunther has the title, I don't know if he's gonna become champion again. So it's just like, at some point we'll have to see what they decide to do, what direction they decide to go in. It might be a situation where he stays kind of in a similar spot until like he gets drafted to SmackDown or something. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, man. I thought this was okay. But I think the interference kind of took away from another match. It made sense the first time because that was the initial knife in the back, end of the Judgment Day with Priest and Finn being together type of deal. But this one was like, okay, did you have to do it that way? Like, I felt like Priest could have shook Gunther's hand at the end, and then Finn comes out and beat him down, and we still kind of in the same area. But they obviously wanted Gunther and Finn to interact, which we'll see as we see heading into Saturday night's main event. So, yeah. I think that's why we did it this way.
Well, that's what I'm saying, And again, I think we're all hoping that the Priest Judgment Day feud doesn't go to WrestleMania, because again, we do love long-term storytelling, but again, sometimes you do need to finish the story, so to speak. And again, as you just mentioned, Monty, as we saw on Raw the next night, I mean, Gina, I'll ask you this. How fucking stupid is Finn Balor wanting a world title match against Gunther? Does he not expect Priest not to get involved? Like, what the fuck is that about?
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what his logic in thinking there is. I get it, Priest, you want to go for the main belt, but A, you've got another belt that you kind of need to keep your wits about for. And B, don't you think you should be like worried about how Priest is going to retaliate after you screwed him over again? Like, it makes no sense why you're like, yeah, now I'm ready to go for the belt. Bruv, you might want to watch your back first.
Yeah, did you not watch Money in the Bank? Look what happened to Drew when he thought he won won the briefcase. Look what happened, right? Just learn from your mistakes, everybody. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly.
Um,
You're just asking him to do the thing back.
yeah, I don't think this was as good as SummerSlam, though. Would that be fair, Gina?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the SummerSlam one was better, but probably because I feel like there was more anticipation built up to that one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is true. You know, like I said, rematches are always great. Might get a third one, we just don't know. But we're going to get scores out of 5. So, Jaxie, what would you give it?
I give this a 4.
4. Monty?
Yeah, 4.
4. And Gina?
Yeah, 4 from me.
Yeah, 4 for me as well. Predictions, we all went Gunther. So Monty on 2, the rest on 3. So all that means, as long as I don't lose the main event, me and Monty will draw. All right? I know that's what everybody wanted. That's all I have to do. There was a lot of wasted time throughout the night. Not tonight, at Survivor Series. I just felt too many video packages. Michael Cole saying the same thing about Rock Bottom 5 times. You know, a lot of other things. But it was main event time. And it was the men's War Games match between the OG version of the Bloodline and the new version. And we see Tama and Jay start a match for their team. I will say, though, Tama at the start doing his best Spider-Man. I mean, you got to love it, you know. Like, you know, I know he's not the favourite of the new Bloodline.
He was just crawling all across. He was crawling all across the wall of the ring. It was brilliant. I think it must be memed, so definitely look for it online. But it was so funny.
It was so good. So the order of entry for the other competitors, we saw Bronson Reed, and then Jimmy, and then Jacob, then Sammy, and then Lower, Punk, Sikoa, and Reigns. There was a lot of stories going out of this. The funniest one was that they were like, Lower, just you stay as long as possible. You stay in here as long as possible. But Jay and Tama took a moment to size each other up for engaging in a fist fight. Reed entered the match, turned it to 2-on-1, but Jimmy entered even in the odds. Fatu gave the new Bloodline the advantage by decimating both Usos as soon as he got into the ring. Reigns stopped Punk for going in third, so Zayn could go instead. And when it looked like Reigns would enter the match, Punk walked past him and got into the cage. Those clips on social media have got over like 100 million views. Just put that in perspective. Someone trying to leave a cage. That's how hot WWE is right now. Anyway, Reigns would enter the match.
Yeah, but I also like the little callback to the last year War Games, where was it like Reigns stopped Sammy from going out and sent Jimmy out first, or something? Was it something like that?
Yeah, no, I'm in. Whatever you
no, I was I wrong? Was I wrong?
No. That sounds right.
It was a nice callback to that because he obviously then stopped Punk and was like, you go, Sammy. And it's like the look on Sammy's face was like, this is deja vu. But I'm actually on the good side and not the bad side this time. Like, I'm not on the naughty step. So, yeah, it was brilliant.
I like that. And the other thing was before Punk came out, as he came out originally, just went up to Bronson Reed and just like face palmed him. And I'm like, fucking hell, you're in the mood tonight and you're going after the biggest one.
No, seriously, I think the funniest part was actually like the clips of the camera going back to the cage after Roman stopped him from leaving the cage. Like Punk was in his face and Roman would not even look at him. It was just so funny. It's like, you know, that moment when your sibling tattled on you and you're just giving them the death stare, like you wait till later and they like won't even look at you because they are terrified. It was kind of that sort of. It was great.
I was about to say, I thought Roman's chin nearly came off. The amount that was working during that time as well. But Punk came out. I didn't think for a moment, guys, I thought, oh shit, he's not going to go in there. But he got me as well, that son of a bitch. And he grabbed a toolbox from under the ring and used it. And he fucked up Lower. I mean, I don't know if that was planned or they got issues, but he fucked him up with that toolbox. I mean, he fucked most people up with the toolbox, but you know. We saw Sikoa and Reigns and last for their respective. Solo forgot there was a roof. Or no roof, I suppose, because he locked the door and was like, Roman, you ain't getting in. And then Reigns just climbed it. I don't know if that was meant to be a bigger moment, but hey. As Reigns jumped in and obviously we got the stare off, Paul Heyman showed up And I thought, well, maybe. But no, he tried to ensure Punk and Reigns stayed on the same page. And he did. Punk helped Reigns avoid Reed's splash from the top of the cage, and it seemed to solidify him as a bit. The OG Bloodline surrounded Solo and took turns hitting him with various signature moves that ended with Reigns hitting a spear for the win. Punk got hugs from everyone on his team except to the OTC. Reigns offered his hand and Punk shook it, and Heyman looked pleased as piss. Oh, bugger. Well, it might not be the right result, but Monty, what were your thoughts on this?
Right, that might not be the one for you, but anyway, no, man, this is good, man. This is actually, this is one of the better War Games matches I've seen probably since those NXT days. I know last year's War Games was personal, and it was like a proving ground for Sami Zayn or whatever, if I remember it right. And I remember it being pretty good itself, especially from a storytelling standpoint. But this one had story, but it also had awesome moments. Jacob Fatu, like you mentioned earlier, James, with his one-on-one match. What more can you say about Jacob Fatu? He obviously was feeling good too because he had a little pep in his step, a little extra wiggle to
like
him.
Papa Shango.
Yeah, exactly. He had a little boogeyman. Boogeyman do it too, do the little thing. But yeah, he had it going. You can tell he was in a good mood. And I thought that was great. I do agree with you about them being, no talking, you stay back. But I also thought when he got in there, he did a pretty good job. He didn't screw up. And I know everybody thinks as soon as he gets in the ring, he's gonna screw it up. So at this point, that's the threshold.
He struggled with the tables, but as soon as he got
threshold.
over, fine. Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as he got in the cage, he did not screw anything up. But he somehow tore his tricep, and I've been looking to see what the hell did he do.
It was Punk, man. It was Punk.
Or something happened to him. Maybe it was on the splash. Maybe it was I thought Jimmy. By the way, that was my MVP. Oh my goodness, what the hell got into Jimmy Uso? He was doing Whisper in the Winds and did a splash off the top like his daddy. It was awesome stuff from Jimmy.
For as much he did, Sammy didn't do anything. But again, that's
right. Sammy protected himself, which I guess, shout out to you, Sammy, because that's as much he's family, but he's like it ain't that personal to me right now, so I'm gonna just protect myself. But yeah, man, I thought it was great, and then them getting Solo together at the end, and him taking everybody's finisher because it's basically his fault that we're doing this. I only got one criticism. This is great. I gave it like 4.5. This is a really fun War Games match. Great story beats. Love Punk doing his job at the end. Even though I'm just like you, James, a couple moments I was like, Punk is definitely going to screw him, right? But he didn't. So I was like, okay, so he didn't do it. But it was good. It was really good that they kind of played with those emotions so well. I only had one criticism, and that was they were too busy trying to play off this will we hug Punk or how we gonna pose at the end, and where Roman didn't even get the damn Ulafala. Oh yeah, he's like why don't I thought I'm assuming that at some point that's the point. I think at some point we're gonna get Solo Roman Ulafala on the line, but it's like I thought that's what this was for. Right. Yeah, oh Lord, please don't do it on a pole. I'll know somebody's back booking if it's on a pole. But Mr. Russo. But no, like I said, that was my biggest like angry at the end. I was like, y'all doing all of this posing, they keeping the camera on it. I'm like, so the Rock showed up and sliced his neck for nothing. That was for nothing. And then he didn't even get the Ulafala. So what was this for? Just that was my only diss. I'm like, Bronson Reed just broke his ankle just for y'all to pose at the end. Sure, okay. That was the only diss I would have, but it was great other than that.
It panicked me when the commentators kept saying Roman needs this victory. And I'm going, why does he need it?
Why does he need it?
Surely
he lost one time.
It's fine.
He lost one time, James.
One of the moments, we loved Fatu as well. There's one moment I thought he might have been injured. And I thought, oh shit, if he is. And then Bronson Reed, I thought might have took the spot. Obviously, the jump off the top. But Gina, I don't think Fatu was actually injured. So Bronson Reed come up with the idea of going, yeah, I'll do a tsunami off the top of that. and then we saw what the results were. But again, it was incredible, not just from Bronson, but the story overall.
Yeah, definitely. Can I say the slow-mos of Bronson breaking both of his ankles were not needed. They were not needed. My eyes were in tears. It looked so painful. I can't imagine how much pain he was sat in throughout the rest of that match. But yeah, again, it all paid off. They all hit their marks. And I was literally going to say the same as Monty just now. When did Jimmy Uso become a high flyer? Like, he's just been jumping, flipping, doing everything in the air. I thought it was Jeff Hardy 2.0. So, no, it was great fun. I really enjoyed this match. I actually gave it a 4 3/4.
4 3/4. Yeah, I think only EO can go off the top and not get injured, you know. But like we said, another thing I liked, OG Bloodline wearing red with the new one wearing black again, distinguishing. But Jaxie, I don't know about you, but I guess with this sign guy on kickoff talking about how great the crowd was. I didn't think the crowd was as good as I was expecting from other PLEs. You don't get me wrong, they were hot for certain moments, but it wasn't that kind of energy. I don't think it took away from the match. But again, it's just, I thought it was interesting how big a moment it should have been.
There were certain moments where there was like a lot more quietness than I expected, especially towards for the main event. But I didn't really notice it that much. I must admit that I think that both EO and Jimmy were like MVPs of the War Games matches. They both sort of took high risk and looked great doing it. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, really. I think the crowd were a bit weird. They were up and down.
But still, a great main event, though, isn't it? You know, and Paul Solo. Did Solo really deserve that?
Kind of, yeah, he did. But I mean, I gave this a 4 3/4 as well. I do think that this match was a great turnout. And yeah, I think each person had a moment to shine. It's just a shame at the injuries that followed.
Yeah, without a doubt. We're going to get onto that in a second. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. Predictions all went OG Bloodline apart from me. So it means the final scores, James and Monty on 3, Jaxie, Gina on 4. So you both end the year with a WWE win. I know. I mean, Jaxie, I'll go to you first.
Yay.
You said...
I did with that first loss.
Yeah, like, Gina, last week, you said to me, Gina, actually, I'm so annoyed I didn't get perfect. And I was like, you fucked me. And I didn't say anything at that point. I was like, but you have fucked me.
No, again, I thought we had screwed ourselves because the women's match was the first one and we lost it. I was like, I've lost this whole Survivor Series. So to see me then get all the rest of the matches right throughout it all, I was like, this sucks. Like, I could have literally got a sleep. So yeah.
Well,
either way,
I'm gonna take this as a hype. So I do not win at all with WWE, so I'm taking the W here.
Well, you say that the WWE final scores, Jaxie on 3. So again, not too. No. Listen, 3. James and Gina on 5. So there's only 2 throughout a whole year. So it's not that bad, is it?
It's not that bad. I mean, I tried to catch up in the end. It didn't get there, but that's why I'll try harder for next year.
You've taken the league win away from me, so that is your victory.
Yeah, right? I'm glad. I'm deeply satisfied.
Say the whole table, James. Who
well, yes, the last person, Monty, on 6, like he needs another league win.
Yay.
He is.
Yay, girl. I love you.
Monty,
you did a great job.
I don't know what's wrong with me because I was nice to you guys when I talked about the Wizard of Oz earlier. I'm going to say it again. You have been on fire with WWE Monty since the very first event. I think a couple of perfect scores back to back. I don't think you look back really. And it fucking annoys me because I've not lost this in years.
Oh man, that's the greatest part. The greatest part is that this is the one I really wanted. Like if I get AEW, sure. Like I'll be happy if I can finish off and find a way to get that one. But this one, just because every year you remind us, it's 2 things you always say. I never lost a WrestleMania. That's fair. You still got that one, and I don't lose the WWE League. Well, you won down, and I'm coming for the next one. I'm trying to get you in Mania this year. I don't care. I'm coming for it, Jay. So, and also, again, I reiterate, my year-end predictions suck. So I need this. You guys should be happy that I did something right.
Yeah, it don't mean that much to me.
Proud of you, Monkey.
So anyway, let's do overall for Survivor Series then. So match of the night for me, it will be the main event. Jaxie, for you, will be Women's War Games. Gina, for you, will be Bloodline versus Bloodline. Monty, either the triple threat match or the main event. Which one are you going for?
Bloodline. I enjoyed the triple threat more probably, but I take Bloodline.
Yeah, and so we'll do MVP and scores out of 10. Jaxie, I'll start with you. Who's your MVP of the night, and what's your score out of 10, please?
MVP is going to go to EO. This is out of 10.
Yep.
I'm going to give it an 8. An 8.
Yeah,
Shut up. An 8.
No, I'm all right. I'm fine. Gina, who's your MVP and what's your score?
My MVP is also EO, and yeah, I'm also going to go at 8.
Well, my MVP's EO as well, I'm not going to lie. Monty, have you gone different for MVP and what's your score out of 10?
I'm not different because I also put EO, but I also put Shinsuke Nakamura. And my score is 8.5.
8.5. Yeah, I'm going to give it an 8.5. It was a good show overall. Again, I don't know how much we'll go back to look at. I mean, I'm sure the Bloodline match will be, something that we'll look back in years to come. The show overall was quite good. I was quite surprised. A lot of people were slating the first couple hours of Survivor Series, and I was like, shit, I watched it. I actually enjoyed it, so I don't know what they're talking about. So, press conference afterwards, Jackie Redmond with Wade and Big E. We saw Graves and Cole speaking. Then we got Ripley, Bianca Belair, Bayley, Io, and Naomi. Ripley said it wasn't over between herself and Liv. Yeah, great. She also asked about the injury. She said she couldn't see it, but felt pretty good. And he ended up celebrating Naomi's birthday, including singing happy birthday to her. Gunther spoke to the panel. He said he's not mad at Kaiser. Wade wants to join Imperium, and Gunther said he was a fitting member. All right? Monty, I'm taking that. Wade Barrett in Imperium. Dream stuff, man. Age is just a number, From Breaker was asked if he would get involved with what's going on with Paul Heyman and Bloodline. He said he would leave the door open and never say never, but he's not interested in the world title at the moment. The Usos, CM Punk and Sami Zayn. I mean, Jackson and Gina, did you see any of the press conference before I have a go at Punk?
Nope. No.
Okay. Monty, because have you ever seen a more disinterested person than CM Punk at that fucking press conference? Is he doing it intentionally?
Oh, he did not want to be there.
He didn't, did he?
He did not want to be there. Yeah, I think part of it, I love it because it blurred lines, though. It's like, is he doing this because he don't really care? Because to be fair to Punk, the question they asked him at the end there was like, okay, about what about the rise of Roman Reigns or whatever? And he was just like, no comment, because what? Like, basically, since you left, Roman has become whoop, whoop, whoop. And it would have been nice to get some type of insight from here. But also, I saw, I think the next night on Raw, I think they said he was talking backstage and he said, sorry about the press conference. So maybe somebody got on him about his energy because he definitely did not want to be there. He was more interested in getting some sweets. And then they gave him one cookie, him and Jay was like one cookie. And he was like, you can just tell he did not want to be there. So, yeah, I don't know. To be honest, though, with his history with press conference, maybe it brought up PTSD. And he don't really want to do press conferences in general after tough matches.
But like you said, if Roman's not there, Punk might be saying, well, if Roman doesn't have to do it, why do I? And
again, why do I got to do it?
The little things he has to keep under the surface, And he didn't know anything about Sammy versus Johnny Knoxville either.
He was so shocked. He was like, what? We, man? He was so shocked.
Triple H finally, guess what? He announced it was the biggest event ever. The biggest show, the greatest show. Sold out, 63rd sellout of the year. All-time Arena Gate record in North America. Bronson Reed's getting looked at. One question was regarding Elimination Chamber being a stadium show. So I wasn't tripping out. I just got the wrong show, Monty. It wasn't Bad Blood. It was Chamber that's going to be a stadium show. And he said he's going to make WrestleMania season the biggest it could be. He also asked about the WID program, and he said it's going to help independent wrestlers out financially, as well as education and guiding them. Yeah, all right, we'll see what happens there. Move on to Raw. CM Punk opened Monday's Raw and wasted little time laying out what is next for him. The road to WrestleMania. Seth Rollins interrupted, and a tense verbal exchange unfolded. I really should have knocked your ass out the same day you came back, Rollins told Punk. Punk said, I know where I'm going, I know what I want, and kid, you ain't it. You spent 6 months thinking about me, I don't think about you at all. A brawl broke out, which was one of the funniest fucking brawls, intentional or not, I don't know. Jey Uso and Sami Zayn managed to split it up. Rollins eventually engaged Zayn in a back and forth. And again, talk about that monster, Roman Reigns, that Seth Rollins actually created. Jaxie, I don't know about you, but I don't think I've seen a more entertaining start of Raw than I did with not only with Punk, but then Seth and then Sami, and just everything going on as well. I was just like,
This was just chaos. I'm not too sure how much of this went off script or anything like that. I was wondering whether or not any of it went off script, but it was just a mess. You didn't really know where to look at that point. But it was highly entertaining, and really piqued my interest into like how the rest of the night was going to go.
It really did feel like, again, not like a night after WrestleMania, but again the Raws after like a PLE feel quite good, because it's like a refresh or like a restart after what we've seen, and this felt exactly like
it's also like it's also just kind of very, very much sort of like the aftermath of what took place in Survivor Series. We know that there was a lot of bruised egos coming out of Survivor Series, so this is where we were seeing it explode.
Yeah, and Sami again saying to someone, look, don't apologise to me, apologise to Jey Uso. So again, maybe that's Sami's new gimmick, is just going around asking people to apologise to Jey. But anyway,
to Jey, yeah, exactly.
We'll get on that. What happened to Jey in a little bit. We got the first triple threat match to crown the first women's Intercontinental Champion. Saw Dakota Kai outlie Shayna Baszler and had a chance to advance. I'm sorry, Jaxie. But I'll tell you what's more emotional, this next thing. And deep breath, everybody. WWE proceeded with the celebration of the New Day 10-year anniversary. We saw a phenomenal video package looking back at the New Day's greatest moments. Whilst we're here, I mean, again, top of your heads, everybody. I know it's difficult, but favourite New Day moments. They've been around for 10 years. There's a couple I can think of at the top of my head. First one I can think of is Usos versus New Day at Hell in a Cell. It was a match where it just, I still remember now, it was a classic tag team encounter. Monty, anything that springs to your mind with New Day?
Man, it's a lot of them. I think the most common one that just pops into mind is basically everybody remembers Kofi Mania, but I think sometimes people forget that to get that title match at WrestleMania, that his brothers had to win a tag team gauntlet match for him, so he can earn that shot, after he kind of lost his gauntlet match, if I remember, one-on-one before that. So I always think about that, and kind of mention, again, the Usos and them are kind of intertwined in a lot of ways, their biggest rival. But I remember the Usos coming down and saying, "Nah, we know Kofi," basically saying Kofi deserves this and forfeiting so they could fight Bryan Danielson and I think it was Rowan at the time, and I'll never forget that, and just so many moments, but they were just special in a lot of ways. So that, and of course the Dragon Ball Z WrestleMania entrance coming out looking like Dragon Ball Z characters. So yeah, stuff like that.
Well, we've got loads of them with Genie, and again, it's even with, like I said, the Kofi Mania or the Biggie with the cash in. It's just how the group acted with each other, and kind of the friendship and warmth kind of shown out, didn't it? Like it was just such a great team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of my top moments I was going to say was going to be like the Booty-O's Dragon Ball Z entrance,
Yeah.
but I love the gimmicks that New Day bring to the roster. They dressed up in so many different ways. One that does stick out is when they dressed up as the Wyatts. That was a hilarious skit. And the other thing that like kind of sticks out to me is when they had a rap battle with the Usos.
Yeah.
And I think like
Yeah.
was it Wale that
Yep.
hosted it? Like that was funny. So yeah, they've just brought so much creativity to the roster, and I know that like all wrestlers have their own ring gears, their own costumes, but for me, the New Day really brought the aspect of cosplaying into the actual WWE universe, and then others followed
Yeah.
suit in a way. But
They
yeah,
made it cool. Yeah, they made it cool.
yeah, they did. They really did make it cool. So yeah, fair play to them. I love all three of them. And they just did so much over the years that even these little moments that we've touched on are just a few out of everything they've done.
Right. Jax, anything to add before I do what's coming next?
I think you guys like kind of pointed out like the top moments really from them. I probably just like pop in, when they dress sort of like as up as the Power Rangers at one point. I really liked. And overall, I think that like a lot of the tag team matches that kind of came out of the era where they first joined really were highlight moments for them. So I must admit as well, like sort of their backstage skits and also bring in like up, up, down, down as sort of an incorporation to WWE, where it brought a greater appreciation to video gaming as well. So you got to give them their highlight moments, and that again is one of them.
Yeah, without a doubt. So on Raw then, Big E returned in an attempt to prevent Woods and Kingston from making what appeared to be a heartbreaking announcement about the future of the group. When he offered to be their manager to help get the team back on the same page, though, his long-term teammates turned on him. They lashed out at Big E for putting himself first at the expense of the Brotherhood. They ruthlessly ripped him apart, and when the former WWE champion refused to accept their new attitudes, they kept him at arm's reach before he left the ring in disbelief. Woods says, now it's just me and you, but Kofi corrects him, said, no, it's just us, bro. I mean, this is the last thing in WWE that was longer than the pod. And now, like my parents getting divorced, Monty, I don't know how to handle it. What do we do now?
I think this is the reason why a lot of people love wrestling, because it blurs the lines, man. It's just like, it was so good. Like, I could feel my face like warming up as I watched the segment, and they kept showing Big E's face as Kofi and Xavier just kept kind of stabbing him, and just kind of like their words cut me, and like I was Big E, because it was just like, it was so messed up, and I've been seeing. I was so annoyed the first few days after it. I was seeing people say, "Well, Kofi and Xavier are right," and I'm just, I don't want to hear it. Leave me alone. I don't care about whatever justification or whatever, or how logical it sounded. Even Kofi did an interview speaking after it, talking about everybody. Everybody may be mad, but nobody can tell me the reason everybody is reacting and cursing us out and saying all this is because they can't dispute the fact that we telling the truth. And it's just like, at the end of the day, man, it's just like, that's Big E, man. That's our brother. And it's just like, he broke his neck. And the fact that he moved on, it's like, even bringing Mia Yim's sister, Big E's girlfriend, into it. And Big E also put out an article that day that I read. So I was already feeling the emotions of that article, where he kind of wrote detailing a lot of the details of his life, his battles with depression, and just how much Mia Yim's sister has done with him being in that relationship, and just how much the New Day did for him and his confidence and who he is as a person. So, I knew he would probably make an appearance for the 10-year anniversary, and I even entertained Xavier turning, because Xavier's been, kind of, leaning and antagonizing this entire time. But it was really when Kofi did it. Like I think I know they don't want to talk about Dolph, but Dolph gave a great interview talking about how Kofi Kingston is one of the last true baby faces in WWE, and for the first time Even when the New Day were all heels and they kind of got over because of their heel antics. If you go back, they were being positive. They were being heels because nobody wanted them to pop up and be annoying and as positive as they were. They weren't true bad guys. This is the first time in Kofi's career where I vehemently could be like, no. Everybody have a reason to just be like, no. As a matter of fact, I can't wait to see what happens on the next Raw because I'm expecting the reaction to them to be very negative because it's just, and it'll be interesting to see where they go from here because all I gotta say is I'm a mixed emotions because I hated it and I tweeted it out for the first time. I'm saying F you to Xavier and Kofi for the first time. It's just watching it because that's how personal it felt. But at the same time, the fact that everybody, and I saw a lot of people being so angry and feeling that way, that's when I knew. I was like, they might be the greatest faction of all time because I don't think anybody can have you. I don't know if any other faction can have me disinvested into this. And they didn't even really they didn't break up. I guess they kind of broke up, but they didn't. So it's like, I don't know, man. That, like I said, that was one of the best, worst segments I've ever watched in wrestling.
But Gina, I mean, I'll speak to you about this. But again, like Monty said, I don't know what would have been worse. I don't know if it would have been better if Kofi and Woods had just beaten up Biggie. It was the way they rejected him, which just brought back all the bad memories in my life of not being wanted. And it's just like, and again, Kofi's attitude just completely changed. It's like a different person.
Oh, trust me, yeah. Especially being one of 4 sisters. Okay, all of us sisters can turn on each other and just side with the other ones during sister arguments. So to see one of your sisters side with one of the other ones against you is like the betrayal. So it hits so hard. Watching this segment, I really felt like I knew how Biggie was feeling. I felt really betrayed and heartbroken just from the rejection. It's more the rejection. And I'm glad they didn't beat him up because I probably would have been scared for his health. But I don't know. I think the rejection actually did cut worse than them beating him up because, the Biggie, he's a good actor as well because the sadness on
Biggie,
his
man.
face. I just wanted to hug him. I was literally saying to Jax, I'm hoping that Mia Yim's sister is backstage ready to just hug Biggie. I really am.
But again, it's just, I mean, I don't know if anybody saw this coming the way they did it. Again, I maybe thought, Woods turn on Kingston or maybe both turn heel, but not what they did to Biggie and Jaxie, as Monty has said, we've not seen a group do this. And again, I think it's horrible it's happened, but what's exciting is, like I said, this is going to be a hell of a ride. And if Woods and Kofi can, go to that hillside, we might have another run like they've had on the babyface side in a weird way,
Yeah, I mean, they completely broke E, There's a major difference on beating on him physically and then breaking him, and they just broke him. So it broke me watching this. It was completely heartbreaking and not what I was expecting. So it would be interesting to see this heelish side take off and see how far they go with this, I'm definitely excited for the next Raw to come, and it is specifically for them.
Oh, without doubt. And again, these 2 guys now, like I said, I just cannot wait to see what they do because the reaction as well is going to be kind of nuclear. And again,
they also beat him up so bad verbally to where I'm like, I want Biggie. I really would like him to be clear. And that's what, don't do me like this and he can never fight again.
That's the thing.
Please.
If he was, this is what I keep saying to myself, if he was cleared, this wouldn't be happening. All right, guys? So anybody thinking Biggie is going to come back,
right.
I don't think they would have done this if he was. But again, it could have been all different with Odyssey Jones. Who knows what would happen?
I heard that was the pitch that he was gonna be the guy that they replaced in front of him, and if Odyssey wouldn't have got in trouble, they were gonna choose Odyssey over him and tell him to basically go away, basically in a similar fashion.
Well, that's
and
worse.
I think I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy that did happen.
Oh, good. Just again, we're going to need years of therapy for this, but at least we've got each other, The New Day are no more. again, I don't know what they're going to change their name to or anything else like this, but again, it's just going to be really interesting stuff. We saw Gunther beat Dom with Finn Balor attacking him afterwards. As you mentioned earlier, do you really think he's going to get a one-on-one fight? Jey Uso was attacked by an unknown assailant. This is the third person to be attacked backstage. Backstage getting more dangerous in the NXT car park at this moment in time. In the main event, Rollins used Zayn's emotions against him and got the win with a small package. From there, he attempted to plead his case. He did not attack Uso backstage, nor did he screw him out of the win. With Visionary waking out the ramp, a hooded Drew McIntyre made his return, blasting Zayn with Claymore and standing tall over the former Intercontinental Champion to close out the show. Drew is back, and if the rumours are true and Bronson being injured helped Drew's return, then I'm all for it, Bronson. You keep jumping off cages. But Monty, I know you were going to say something earlier when you mentioned about Seth Rollins' attitude and Drew McIntyre kind of being not on the same wavelength, but having connections.
Yeah, and I know we're going to talk about SmackDown. I don't want to jump the gun on you, but we did see a Chad Gable appearance on SmackDown. And it kind of just got me thinking when I thought about the similarities. You know, I felt like seeing Punk and Roman next to each other, even though they weren't getting along. Just seeing those two guys next to each other probably made something snap in Drew and Seth Rollins, because they do have that in common, this immense hatred for both guys. Even you know, I know even though it's probably mostly Punk for Drew, don't forget he don't like Roman either. And the same thing can be said for Seth, who obviously has a problem with both. And I can just really see right now Seth seems to not, he don't seem to be, but I do see the tease, especially with Sami Zayn being around and having a Jey Uso. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. And even Kevin Owens has also hinted at, on SmackDown, basically referencing Sami. So I think, I don't know how true this is. I don't know if they could actually put it together. But if we are doing a situation where the brand split seems to mean a little bit less, those three being together, Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins, and then like being on that opposite end of a Roman Reigns, especially if we're thinking about the next chapter after all of this bloodline beef. I don't know about you guys, but I just feel like that makes the most sense, because
just take my money.
What those three guys have in common, right? Yeah. Right. And then what do they have in common? Immense hatred for Roman Reigns, and then also you throw in a CM Punk. He also helped Roman Reigns, which should be enough motivation. Kevin Owens don't like Punk either, because he's close with the Young Bucks in real life. So I mean, like I'm cooking with. I could just be armchair booking. I might be getting a little too excited, but they have a lot in common, and I can just really see. Things coming to a turn at some point. Like you mentioned, Jay, like Drew and Seth by themselves together would be terrifying. But then you add in another guy who has a storyline reason, like a Kevin Owens, into it. You never know what could be happening especially going into this new era next year.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
All right.
Go. That's how you start it off. SmackDown. Reed broke his ankles, Tanga torn his bicep, Jimmy Uso broke his toe. Not since United Empire versus War Dogs has the cage match gone so well. US title tournament, Stratton versus Naomi versus Lopez. No need for Tiffany Stratton to win this one. Gina, would that be fair? She's got the money in the bank. She doesn't need a victory, does she? I know it's hometown. I don't give a fuck.
No, I've given a theory to Jax about this, and I've said I don't think she needs to win because she's got the cash, the money in the bank contract, and part of me feels like she should lose in the tournament, and then whoever is in the final match, the final two, maybe Tiffy's going to come out and cash in on those two and actually still win it. So that's kind of a theory I might go with, but yeah, I just don't. I do feel like Tiffy won't take a loss, won't be hurt here if she took a loss, if that makes sense.
Yeah, without a doubt. Bianca Belair beat Piper Niven in a really fun match. Seriously, watch it. It's a great match. Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu showed up and beat up Knight and Andrade, but they chose to leave Nakamura alone once he started spewing black liquid through his mouth. It was a choice. Up next was Ciampa and Gargano taking on Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley for the tag titles. Match came about when the Street Profits were attacked backstage. Full attack backstage, everybody. Don't worry about it. After inadvertently kicking Gargano off the apron. Ciampa found himself outmatched by Motor City Machine Guns. They got into an argument, and Ciampa looked like he was going to leave, but he tried to come in with a chair. While the ref was distracted, Gargano hit Shelley with a low blow. He super kicked Shelley, and the smiling Ciampa held his hand out for the tag. They had pulled the wool over everyone's eyes, hit the finisher, and won the tag titles. Your new tag team champions, DIY. Jaxie, I did not fucking see this coming, and I just stood up and applauded. I was like, well done, Trix.
Yeah. Do you know what? When I was watching this, I was watching it alongside Purple, and I actually said mid-match, to be honest, DIY need to win this, or actually, I just said that DIY need to win this, or like they're really becoming irrelevant. I don't know what they're doing with their story. And Purple came up with the idea of, well, it's all down to Johnny, really. Johnny's either got to leave Ciampa for, like, you know, kind of going down the heel-ish route, or he's got to join him. And we saw that happen here. So that was interesting to kind of see that outcome as we were discussing it. But yeah, it was just exactly what was needed, and it's no short sort of like defeat for the Motor City Machine Guns. I feel like they were kind of protected with this outcome with the way that they won the belts. But I think that this was the right decision.
Yeah, I think without doubt. I wasn't expecting it, but I loved it when I saw it, you know. We saw Michael Cole go out to Kevin Owens' car to interview him. I don't know if it's meant to be funny, but I just find everything Owens does unintentionally like hilarious. This was great, especially winds out the window to Michael Cole at the end. But we did see in the main event, like I said, Chad Gable showing up. We're getting a transfer window, guys. We're getting a transfer window. There's nothing to do with Raw on Netflix. There's normally a transfer window where all the best superstars will be going to Raw. We saw Gable and Rhodes, and of course this was a good match with Rhodes getting the victory. Afterwards, Kevin Owens showed up and went after him. Several officials tried and failed to break them up as the show went off the air. Of course, Cody Rhodes will face Kevin Owens for the WWE title at our next WWE event, Saturday night's main event. Monty, I mean, like I said, overall with this, Owens showing a different side. And again, all we can hope really is that they pull the trigger.
Yeah, I don't really see an argument. Again, you can go so many different ways from Cody losing too. Can Cody eventually get it back, still be a babyface? Sure. Or you can make Cody reevaluate, change things. You know, injure him for a little while, however you want to go. But I do feel like you're 100%, like right there this time. I think, like you mentioned earlier, everything Kevin does, not only is it intentionally funny, but it's just so. No one else is really like Kevin Owens. And I think that's another reason why I think it would be the right thing to do in my estimation, which is to, pass the belt to Kevin Owens, this new, killer version of Kevin Owens. Let him pile drive Cody, whatever he needs to do to get the edge and get the victory. You saw on SmackDown, he didn't hesitate to go after the leg this time. It's just, I love what they're doing from a story beat standpoint, and I think the only thing you can do, in my opinion, to make this even better would be pull the trigger and allow Kevin Owens to climb that mountain and be world champion again. You got. I don't know if guys realize it. As great as Kevin Owens is, I think Kevin is a Hall of Famer, but this man hasn't touched the belt since they screwed him with Goldberg. Like, he hasn't touched a world title since those days. Look how many years ago that was. This is the perfect time, in my opinion, to finally let him, get what I believe a lot of people would agree that he deserves.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, I mean, finally, we'll say WWE Network is coming to an end, which, again, is a shame to some people. It will be moving to Netflix.
So you don't care.
No, I don't. I won. I beat the network. So it's not about me. But again, anybody wondering where to watch Saturday night's main event, it actually is going to be on YouTube, on the WWE's YouTube channel. So you can go watch that in the UK as well for absolutely nothing. So that would be worthwhile. Finally, I mean, Gino, I'll come to you last. Wrap it up for us, would you? I mean, what were your thoughts on WWE? We had Survivor Series. We're heading to the new year. We're in an exciting place because the road to WrestleMania has kind of not officially begun, but it has really.
Yeah, it's kind of the unofficial start of, WrestleMania season. I do look forward to it because they do like to bring surprises. And as you just mentioned, we're getting the move to Netflix. So I'm sure they're going to want to do something, big. So I look forward to seeing the surprises that are going to come our way if they don't get spoiled by people already. But either way, I think overall it's a good end to the year from where it started, storyline wise. Hopefully they can keep this momentum going. And I just look forward to seeing what we get next year. Bring on Royal Rumble. I look forward to it. It's my favourite.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we'll say Saturday night's main event. We'll review that on our Christmas show where we do the WNR Awards as well. That'll be in a couple of weeks' time. But that's it now. Don't forget, we're across all social media. At X, at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR Pod, James. You can find the entire WNR team on the banner. Also now on Blue Sky, WNR Podcast, and Reddit. Jaxie, where can people find and follow you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitch, X, and Instagram at Jaxie Starlet.
Perfect. And Monty?
Yeah, at my Monty Pod on Twitter or X, and on Blue Sky, Your Highness Monty. Find me on there. I spend a little bit more time on there these days. And let's see. I'm gonna wait. I have something planned, but I'm gonna wait before I give you guys that. But maybe the end of the year-end pod or something where I'll disclose that information. But yeah, thank you guys, and just hit me up on at my Monty Pod or on Blue Sky, and yeah, I'll get back to you.
Oh, no problems. That's exciting. Gina, what about you?
I'm on Twitch and Instagram and X at Purple Pain.
WNR also on Facebook and Instagram. Send us an email at WNRpodcast@gmail.com. YouTube and podcasts. Got the same time on YouTube as do SoundCloud on your phone. Also Spotify and iTunes. Where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So our next episode is next weekend, and it's NXT Deadline. And Jax, Gina, do you have any idea how you did at NXT?
Nope.
We'll find out next week. Until then, I've been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Jaxie, it's like rocking horse shit. You won the WWE prediction.
Yes, I know. I pulled it out finally towards the end of the year. Watch this space. Hopefully it will continue.
And of course, the mind of Monty, or should we call him Your Highness? Well, he has not won the Prediction League yet. It's not over, but I guess we're going to get to that point.
Hey man, I love you, James. You gotta stop hating on me. Anyway, another victory. I am feeling quite royal, so that's why my name is what it is. But yeah, man, always fun, and I can't wait to talk about what was this, Deadline? Yeah, it was Deadline. It's the name. The name. I'm getting old, James. The names are killing me at this point. But yeah,
don't worry. I called it Roadblock for a week.
Right.
That will be good. And of course, the genius of Gina. And Gina, it's your fault I didn't win. I'm going to blame you.
Why?
Because Jaxie just blindly guessed. You've actually got, the G site.
Hey.
Hey, listen, don't be bitter. Just be happy for me, okay?
Yeah, we'll work on that. Maybe that'll be a Christmas present.
Monty with his crown. I want my crown back.
It's all, who knows what can happen? Like I said, the year end. Who knows? We've still got AEW still to go. We've still got the year end predictions. So it's not over till it's over. But this episode is over.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's not over. Thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.